Alright, so here we are with art log number 7. It's been a little bit over a week since my last art log, or whatever I'm gonna call it in future. I don't know what else to call it right now. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do the usual, go over some of my drawings that I've done since my last art log and kind of talk about the thought process and what kind of patterns I'd like to see from here on. So basically the goal with all art logs for me is to basically sum up what I've done since my last art log and lay down the foundation of what I expect for the next one. So since my last art log, I've noticed that my drawing time has seemed to drop off just a little bit, but I have been trying to make the most of it through, just grinding through the times that I don't feel like drawing, because that sounds like a pretty useful skill. Like if I'm at work and I don't feel like drawing and I just simply choose not to draw, obviously I'd be out of a job. So I'm trying to figure out ways to get around that, if that makes any sense. So we'll start with August 15th. So this is the drawing that I made, like the drawings that I made right after my last video. Now, obviously, these colors could use a lot of work, especially with this one with the yellow, the random yellow. I feel like the rest of them kind of came together, but I could have definitely smoothened the color. But I didn't want to spend too much time on these. I guess I was eager to move to the next drawing, so I decided not to spend too much time on these. But without the color, that's the wrong. Without the color, instead of going over my drawing with the typical, darker line, I decided with these to instead go over the drawings with, just a simple color theme. So I used the same theme of the colors, and I think these actually came out pretty good. Like apart from like some of the over color, I feel like these came together pretty well. Like the only part that I really didn't like was the yellow. I don't know why I threw that in there at all, but I did, so I have to live with that mistake for the rest of my life. So let's see, I'm pretty sure I have so this is, god damn it, I wish I would have went over this and made sure that these were all like the colors were figured, or the layers were figured out first. But basically I start without the colors or the highlights and stuff. I normally start with either a thick brush followed by thinner lines similar to this one, or I should say this one. This one is probably a better example. So this is how it looked before I added any color or outline. Normally this would be, the opacity would be around here, right? And then I just go over it with a thinner line with line pressure. So let me, I don't know why. Oh, oops. Okay, so I normally just go over it. What the hell is going on? Here, I'll just start a new layer. Just gotta remember not to save it. So I normally just go over it with a thinner brush and just kind of make everything look pretty cool. And then I'd add, a color under it. I didn't do that with these though. I decided to take a different approach, I'm guessing. So this is how it ended out. So before, and then I add the lines, and it makes it look a little bit more refined, but still has like a lot that I could take it into as far as like direction, I guess. I'm not really too experienced on that part of the process yet, because I normally stop at this phase and then just move on to something else. Most of the time, I guess right now my main focus is on the sketching phase, trying to perfect that phase before I try to move into like full-on illustrations or like, art pieces and stuff like that. So I guess you could call my art stage the conceptual stage, where I'm trying to figure out my process first. And a lot of people would argue that, like, yeah, you should probably just go on doing, full drawings and see like what you would change from drawing to drawing. But in my personal experience, a full drawing takes a really long time for me. Like it can take anywhere from a day, and not like a full day of drawing, but like a day or a couple of days even, to completely get it to a place that I'd be satisfied with. Not so much like happy with, but satisfied, because at this point I really don't know how to push it to the next level. I haven't had my breaking point as far as like breaking into the right direction. I don't know any better way to say that. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. Chances are I'm probably looking back on this video cringing my ass off, so in the future. So I'm gonna stop making myself possibly look stupid now. But yeah, this was the process for these. I basically, just went over with the lines. I really like how that looks without the color under it. But the color looks, I personally, this one is my favorite. With this being second and this being third. Or, I don't know. The design of the helmet here kind of threw everything off with this drawing. So if I did that different, maybe that would be number 2. But I really had fun with this one. So yeah, that was basically this drawing. Hopefully, in the future, I can keep these more less complicated, so it's easier to explain these to myself, because no one watches my videos. Maybe one person. Thanks. Okay, so we're not gonna save that. Okay, so this is my drawings from today. I haven't even went over these yet. I was just drawing, and I was like, hey, my little brother isn't here, so why not just make a video real quick. So this is August 17th. Now, obviously, there's a lot of problems with this. I'm not even going to try to explain what this is or what it was supposed to be. But it was just basically me messing around, because I didn't have any ideas for what to draw. So I just started drawing a whole bunch of random shapes, and they just all came together to make some wonky-looking helmet. And I decided to just push it with the colors. I didn't really think about anything with this one. I guess, free ran. Yeah. Alright, so here's some more sketches. This was a dragon that I had drew based on my little brother's little sketch. I decided to let him get on my on my computer and use my drawing tablet for the first time, and he came up with this like really abstract looking dragon thing. There we go. Oh shit, it cut off because I cropped it. I can't even show it now. Rip. Well, he basically drew a dragon, and I drew over it and kind of made it into what we have now. So this is how my drawings sometimes end up. I draw with the thick line, and then I decide to go over it with a colored, oh man, where is it? With colored lines, you see, to set the theme for it, and then I'll sometimes add color, and then it ends up looking like that. So far, I still haven't found a way to push that. This sketch I'm not really happy with. I mean, it's, like I said, it's a sketch. I shouldn't be beating myself up over it. Like, it's kind of cringe to me, honestly. I almost deleted it, but I was like, nah, just keep it, because, like, one day you're going to want to see these things. That's why I make the art logs in the first place. August 19th, I had these sketches. Now, I'm not too sure if I showed these in my last one, but there's a lot of problems with these drawings that I just want to point out real quick, just in case you don't see them, because chances are you're probably looking at them and being like, oh, those look cool. Trust me, I'm looking at it and thinking the same thing, but it never hurts to learn, right? So the first thing is that this arm is probably too big. Considering where I wanted it to be, or no, not even just that, but the shoulders are a little bit too hunched. If you think about a person being in this, oh wait, am I even looking at the right one? I don't know about these, but the shoulders, as far as I can tell, could be a little broader. Like, these shoulders are way too, because what this, I mean, I don't think this one's bad because of the design of the shoulder plate. It's kind of like an L shape to complement it's kind of like it protects the top of the shoulder and the side of the shoulder with one plate. So I don't think that that has too much wrong there. Let me know. I'm always open to critique, always. Maybe the body could have been a little thicker, like a little, and had some more of that. With this, the arm is just way out of, like, if you look at this, it's probably, like, I tried to go with some kind of different pose because I always draw the same poses, and you'll notice that throughout my drawings. So I tried to mix it up, and I ended up making it look really weird with the arm, so I don't know about that. But overall, like, and with this one, I feel like I put way too many lines here. It's kind of overwhelming. especially with, there's just a lot of lines. Like, you got lines here, you got lines here, you got lines here, and then you got lines all going like that, and then just like that, like that. It's just too many spikes. There isn't enough smoothness to complement that. Like, what would have been probably really good with this drawing is to make it like have some kind of round chest, like some round plate right here that kind of balance this out, because there's just so many spikes, there's so many sharp edges in this drawing. I feel like it needed something to like kind of just, you know, make the show, like the whole thing not so spiky and edgy. You know, I meant for this to be like a leather, not like feathers or something like that. With every drawing, I've been trying to make sure, like, if I have a whole bunch of spikes and sharp edges like that, I try to find somewhere where I can implement curvy lines like that, or like right here. You know, I try not to put spikes on the gauntlets and the van braces. I don't know what you call that spot, but I try not to put spikes here, because like if I put spikes here, it's just like what there's a lot of spikes. Like, it can get overwhelming, and it can easily get old, especially when you look at a lot of fantasy armor and you see like spikes everywhere. And recently I've been studying medieval armor a little bit, because you want to know the functionality of something before you go around breaking it and making rules for it. Like, if you design a fantasy knight that has you know, armor, like this is his head, this is his body or whatever, and his armor, like this is his armor, right? And cool, like, okay, he's got a big chest plate or whatever thing going on here. So clearly, like, okay, that's gonna easily deflect the sword. But if you go putting spikes on it, right? Obviously that's not to scale. Okay. But if you go putting spikes on it, imagine like this guy's getting pummeled by goblins, right? Sure, people would say, yeah, like spikes would stop anything from trying to jump on you, right? But in the event that you have something like ghouls or undead, or like something that's just made of a lot of something that can't feel pain, essentially, that just wants to jump on you and slow you down, or the hero down, right? Spikes would actually be bad for him, because the spikes would get stuck inside the ghouls and they would literally be stuck onto his armor. So if you had a whole, especially thin spikes, like that would suck, because essentially your guy would just get weighed down by all of these goblins or ghouls jumping on him, or zombies or whatever, and that would actually do more harm than good. So like those are things to take into consideration. You know, it's really something that like I try not to overdo. Like with this, like every spike that I went for was at one point like spiky, you know, but then I was like, I like, knowing that I would want these to be kind of like that, because at least they would hurt something, right? Like they would stop something from getting stuck on them, but they'd like hurt them. And the same with flails. You know, if you notice any mace in prehistoric times or morning stars, those were probably like think about it. If you hit someone with it, the chance of the weapon getting stuck into whatever you're hitting with all those spikes are really high. And when every second counts and it matters a lot, you want to make sure that, you know, these spikes aren't getting people stuck onto your thing. So I put like little blunt edges on this instead. Like, I'm sure, like for a fantasy setting, maybe I am overthinking, right? Like, it's fantasy. Why don't I just give this guy like a massive spike here and a massive spike, or it's not a spike, but like, you know, a spike here and a spike here. Like, it looks cool, but like realistically, I would never want that unless I came up with some like reason why something couldn't get stuck on it. Like them being made of a material that reacts to pressure differently. I don't know. But yeah. So, and normally when I find myself drawing characters that have a lot of these, oh shit, I gotta make sure I can undo all of this, because I don't have these layers saved. Yep, see, get all the lines off. No. Okay, I can fix that later. But yeah, whenever I have a character that has all these jagged lines and stuff like that, I normally try to make the next one use more curves. as you can see here. Like, there's no spikes on this guy except for like the random like bumps here and bumps here. Yeah, and then every now and then I like to draw like a little chain or something, just to kind of give it that, I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I've been making a lot of progress on, and I'm really happy about. So let's go to August 21st. So August 21st. Now this is where a lot of the problems came in. So the first thing I noticed here, or that I was told, that was that the shoulders for this character are way off, like pretty off. And not only that, the arms are probably a little long, because typically, like most of the time, and the torso is probably a little too skinny as well, but like that could easily be fixed if it, you know. But the big thing here is that, like, most of the time with most people, your elbow normally ends somewhere above the belly button. If it's anywhere below the belly button, your arms are probably too long, unless you're going for like a slender man or something like that. Well, that really never matters. With this arm, it was way too small, and again, I had the same problem with the shoulder posture. I always forget about that, you know. Even though the detail might be nice and it might look cool from an untrained eye, I have to keep in mind that these are things that can very easily just take away all the coolness of a drawing, because it's like having a car that has like a really nice car, but like one of the wheels is just not, like, it's crooked or something. Like when you're driving, the wheels like tipping the car over and everything, like it. Or a bike, a really cool, all right, let's just say a motorcycle with a wheel that's just like a little tilted, and you notice it, and it like flops side to side while you're, you know, it's just that those small things. So why I didn't go and fix it is because I can just easily look out for this in my future drawings. I've already pushed these sketches as far as I wanted to take them, so it would really waste a lot of time going and fixing something when I can just incorporate it into all of my future drawings. So yeah, I'm kind of doing a self-critique in hopes that it would help someone else that's, you know, that's drawing similar things. So this day I tried to do a whole bunch of posture drawings, because my friend had told me, like, yo, you should be doing gesture drawings. And then he got on to me, like, his name is Berserk. And the thing about Berserk, you know, I see him as, in a way, like a mentor. He's a really good mentor, and every now and then I'll admit, like, I fuck around a lot, you know. I try to piss him off, but like in reality I do take into consideration of what he's telling me. But these were all drawn after I did my gesture studies, because for some reason, like, drawing from gestures, here, I'll just pull those up first. Oh wait, no, that's the complete wrong one. But here's another drawing where I tried to take into consideration, like, whatever arm is furthest away from the camera should definitely be smaller than the one that's in front. That's something that I tried to incorporate. I actually drew this while I was talking to him. Sure, some proportions are probably still up because I don't use references for some reason. I cannot, like, if anything, it makes me start overthinking, right? Like, I don't know if anybody else is like that, but like for me, references just seem like, because I've never used them, I'm so used to not using them, and like that could be very harmful to how I draw my body, like human bodies and proportions and stuff. But like the way I see it, like I just remember certain things, like the fist always, like right here, the belly button would probably be somewhere around here, and the elbows are below. Now I could argue that this is at a certain, like angle, but at the same time, like you gotta keep in mind, it only hurts yourself when you make excuses. So yeah, like the proportions are off, you know, a lot of these, and I didn't draw any of these with reference. So because I guess I'm just like really stubborn or something. Like I don't know why I'm just so against references, but I drew these without reference for some reason, because it seemed easier to me, because I seemed to be able to notice it more when people pointed it out. Like for example, this one probably has waist problems, and let's see, this one probably Like if the arm was right here instead, the elbow should be like around there, and then. But like at the same time, it's like you can argue that he's sitting down at an angle, and that's why angles. I think that's where I need to use. That's where I need to use reference, because that really throws me off, especially like in moments like this where you got someone sitting down on a plane, and then I got to work on making better poses, because without using reference, like I only have one pose, and that's like this one. Like I'm not too familiar with different poses, so it's definitely something I can work on, and I gotta be harder on myself with that. I gotta get myself to draw more, do more gesture drawings. As much as I hate them, it might help to do some here and there. 23. This is what I did just yesterday. I finished them this morning, but like again, most of my poses can use some help. They look really stiff, and I'm trying to fix that. Without studying gestures, I'm gonna have a hard time there. But that's it for the video today. I'll be making another one next week, so yeah, until next time.